Thanks for staying tuned. Oben and Igwelaba communities in Orionwan local government area of Edo State are blessed with abundant natural resources such as oil and gas, and the people of these communities are predominantly farmers, supplying a huge chunk of the food needs of Edo State and neighboring Delta State. But now they are lamenting that all that might change for the worse unless relevant government authorities come to their rescue from incessant attacks by suspected herdsmen who have converted their farmlands into grazing fields and also launched unprovoked attacks on them whenever they try to stop them.
Igwelaba and Oben are some of the communities in Oriomo local government area of Edo State, which depend mainly on farming for survival. However, the people of the area say their safety and livelihood are now seriously threatened. They claim that suspected herdsmen have in recent times launched unwarranted attacks against them and their farmlands. Channel's television news crew visited Igwelaba village on the market day, and the traders were on the ground, eager to bear their minds on the issue.
My farm when the car even spoil destroy now, he reached 6 acres. Then now if there is the man stand there and the car they chop the whole cassava. If you read that way, they say why you can't they chop the cassava now, Mala? He said without pay.
Our farm, cow don't shop and finish. That the router, that on market when I even go serve, that they take out they pursue me with my cassava.
From the market, the men of the village led us to the farms to see firsthand what has become of their farmlands.
When they destroy farm finish, they go light the bush fire.
As if to lend credence to the complaints, here are herdsmen and their cows marching into Madam Dora Ogemoyi's 20-acre cassava farm in Oben community, even as she wails helplessly.
I don't get money, I don't get chop again. Now this one be my power. Farm be my power. Now farm be my power. I don't get anything. I beg, me una help us. Now hungry we day.
The development is a source of great worry to the leadership and people of Oben community, and they want the government to come to their rescue.
They should strive better, hard, have a ranch where these animals are kept, so that the farmers will be rested. But the government does not care. I'm not happy with the way government are treating human beings.
The Edo State Commissioner for Agriculture, Mando Saigbovu, says government has been alerted to the troubling incidents and is consulting with security agencies on the best solution to the menace.
Yes, government is on it. Government is on it seriously, and the farmers are aware that government is on it. But the solutions, we need to really find a lasting solution to it. That is why government is preaching ranches.
The appeal from these communities is that help should come quickly, as the development is already having negative impact on not only the area, but also on food supply to the state.
But the Delta State Governor, Ifeanyi Okowa, has a different plan. He's insisting that his state does not have any land for cattle colonies. Rather, he wants the federal government to come up with a clear-cut policy that will help bring an end to the crisis between herdsmen and farmers. Governor Okowa was speaking to a gathering of herdsmen, farmers, community leaders, and heads of security agencies in Asaba, the Delta State capital.
Most communities in Delta State are renowned for their prowess in farming and fishing. But some of these communities have also had unfortunate experiences with attacks by suspected herdsmen. The governor of the state is making moves to address this security challenge, and that is why he has brought together critical stakeholders, including security agencies, to dialogue on peaceful coexistence in the state. Traditional rulers and community leaders take turns to speak, joined by representatives of the herdsmen umbrella body and Hausa Fulani communities.
Let us take proper census of the people in our respective kingdom. You can't identify yourself. In my place, we a stranger. You go.
I believe we can achieve this if we want a solution. There is a way of handling this issue, at least the peaceful coexistence among farmers and herdsmen.
While advocating peaceful coexistence among Deltans, security agencies offer assurances of ensuring peaceful coexistence in the state.
All the area commanders are here. The DPOs of the affected areas are all here. We're going to sit down with other law enforcement here and strategize so that we replicate this in each of the affected places. When we come together, we'll have a solution.
Having listened to all sides, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa announces that Delta, being a coastal state with most of its land waterlogged, has no space for cattle.
Our people are even finding it difficult to have enough land for farming. So we cannot, as a coastal state, believe that the little land we have that we can afford at this point in time. That is the truth. We cannot afford at this point in time to provide lands for cattle colony.
At the end of the dialogue, local government chairmen are directed to inaugurate interventionist committees on security in all the 25 local government areas.
We're still talking Fulani herdsmen and farmers crisis, but this time from the North Central region, there is a new dimension to it, as Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has issued an invitation to all herders in the country to come to Kano. The governor is promising to give them a vast expanse of land, as well as to build schools, veterinary clinics, markets, and other amenities for them to be comfortable. Mr. Ganduje gave this assurance at the flag-off of free vaccination exercise for more than 1 million cattle and livestock in Kano State.
The Kano State government is so much concerned about the insecurity situation all over the country, especially in the middle belt of Nigeria, and therefore we decided to formulate some policies.
Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje seems bothered with reports of attacks and clashes between herdsmen and farmers all over the country. And beyond just condemning it as being usually done, he is taking steps to permanently address the situation with the provision of enough land at the Falgore forest to cater to their grazing business.
And I'm inviting all the herdsmen in Nigeria to come to this area so that we discuss and provide an able environment for them to do their herdsmanship in a very peaceful environment. To continue herdsmanship in an area that the land for grazing is not available is always creating a problem, and the issue of creating conflict is not desirable, and we cannot afford to continue killing people in various parts of this country.
To demonstrate his commitment, he's trained youth in different sections of agriculture, and here empowering over 100 of them with startup capital. If this program by the Kano State government pulls through, it may then finally lay to rest cases of incessant destruction of farmlands and killings, allegedly by herdsmen throughout the country.
And time now for the business news of the day. Here's Imana Amawe.
You first. First Bank.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The federal government is committing to invest 1.3 trillion naira annually to capital projects in order to bridge the infrastructure gap in the country. During a meeting with some international investors in Abuja, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, explains that the intention of government is to attract more investments. The investors include representatives of the investment capital and equities firms from England, the United States and South Africa.
We invested about 1.3 trillion on capital projects last year: roads, rail, power, housing, all the big heavy infrastructure that we think is needed to unlock this huge economy. We're hopefully going to close 2017 doing around the same figure, and hopefully do the same in 2018. We are finally beginning to address, by policy and very deliberate policy, some of the more stubborn problems that have really held back Nigeria's growth. We've been through a very difficult adjustment, which you all know about and which I won't dwell on. But we're seeing that the macro fundamentals are much more positive, and the outlook is they will remain positive. The good news is that the rhetoric or the narrative that we have been adopting around reducing our reliance on oil, we are actually beginning to take steps towards that in terms of reducing our benchmark price, keeping it low, allowing us to rebuild some of our fiscal buffers, learning to balance our budget at a lower oil price, which I think is very important for our longer term stability, both of the currency and the whole macro picture.
Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun. Now, the sell-offs recorded in the last two sessions at the equities market this week extends into today's trading, hitting bellwether stocks across major sectors, except banking. Let's join Tosi Additional for a summary of the day's activity.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The local stock market fell for the third straight session this week as more profit taken by investors pulled the equities capitalization by 122 billion naira at the close of today's trading session. The industrial sector was most hit by the sell-off as four main indices ended in the red and added more pressure to the market's main index, pushing it lower by 0.77%. 39 losers for the day, including Dangote Cement, were led by price losses from Unique Insurance, Skybank and Wema Bank, while 18 gainers were led by Caverton, Linkashore and Lasaco Assurance. The total volume of 508.29 million shares traded for the day were driven by the shares of Lasaco, FBN Holdings and Skybank. In the meantime, traders say there is no need for panic over the currency declines as the market is correcting itself and remains positive year to date. And that's the stock market report for today. I am Tosin Additional. The news at 10 continues in a moment.
Well, after nearly a year and a half of historically calm markets, U.S. stocks have witnessed volatility in the past few trading sessions. Global markets reporter at NASDAQ market site in New York, Jill Malandrino, gives us an update.
After nearly a year and a half of historically calm markets, volatility made its presence known in the past few trading sessions. We ended Tuesday with a gain of 1.7% in the S&P 500, while the Dow closed at 567 points following the global slide in stocks on Monday. Sure, headlines were sensationalized with the Dow Jones Industrial Average hitting correction territory down over 10% from all-time highs at the market open on Tuesday. But let's dig below the surface and see how market structure held up during heightened volatility, particularly as markets are trading higher in the early Wednesday session. Initially, it was thought that better than expected jobs and manufacturing data increased fears that the Federal Reserve would be more aggressive with interest rate hikes in 2018. But what made the markets drop worse were volatility products and the billions of levered dollars tied to them. The selling pressure uncovered the difficulty of unwinding these heavily crowded trades. Now, pullbacks are never fun to endure, but it's important to remember that they have a normal course of long-term investing. The weakness we saw is against the backdrop of strong economic and corporate data. Fourth quarter earnings have been solid, guidance for 2018 is positive, and that's causing earning projections to accelerate. From the NASDAQ market site in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at NASDAQ.
While some of the world's leading stock markets are recovering from the volatility that hit Wall Street in 3 consecutive sessions following fears of rising interest rates. Let's see some of the snapshots. And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Emana Amawe. Ladi.
You first. First Bank.
And still to come on the news at 10, we'll have the sports news of the day. Please stay on with us.